hear mom talk about like how mom and cousin talk about how at the end of the day they love what they do and they want to change how it is. So I also want to see how that's going to be and if that would be a good future.
What if we built this CPA firm in a box where we gave access to all the great things that come with working from a firm, but allow you to work better for yourself?
Welcome, Zachary. Welcome, everybody. Hello and welcome to this show. It's meant to inspire change. We are change agents in the industry. Listen to us question the current industry norms and ask unanswerable questions with awesome people in this space. We are the change agents in an industry fraught with money and inertia. Let's begin the Sons of CPAs. Dun, dun, dun. With our special guest host, Zachary, called the son of a CPA.
We are lucky to have Kristen Keats, also CPA, founder and owner of Sherwood Tax and Accounting, and founder and chief executive officer at Breakaway Bookkeeping and Advising.
Also founder of Cadencia LLC.
Yes. This is where I put in all the artificial cheering. Yeah, the sound effects. That would be fun. Awesome. Really great to have you here. Please pronounce that again.
Cadencia.
It just flows off of the tongue. It's like licorice or butter. Cadencia. I just sing that word like in the shower. Cadencia. How old are your kids, Kristen?
I have one that's turning 19 next week, and I have one that is 15, almost 16, and today is her first day at Sherwood Tax.
Wow. Her first day? Is she behind you?
Yeah, do you want me to get her?
Yes, please. Oh, wow.
Kelsey.
Kelsey and Kristen. I don't know if Kelsey's with a K, but I think, is Kelsey with a K, Zachary?
I'm not sure. Yeah, Kelsey usually is.
Oh my gosh, this is a lot of K's in the room here. Kelsey Keats, can we interview you instead of your mom?
Yes, I'm more exciting than her.
My daughter is going to be in high school. Do you have any tips for her?
Keep up on your stuff. Don't get behind because stuff will just keep piling up and then it'll just get more and more overwhelming.
What brought you into your mom's business? What made you decide you wanted to work here?
You're looking at her as if this is how you should answer.
Well, I figured that it would be better to work with her instead of getting a job at like in retail or food, because my brother, that was his.
We're better than retail and food.
That is true. That is so true. It's more comfortable. You can wear a sweater. You can be you. I feel like you can probably be you, except you're standing right next to your mom. Okay, I'm going to say something that's going to embarrass you and her, that you have a really hot mom.
Let's just edit that out, Scott.
I might have to. I think this is so exciting that you're in the office and you should own it like your mom does, because she owns the space and she's creating a new world of work for women.
Right.
Okay, one more question for Kelsey. Is there a future of accounting or CPA work in your life?
Maybe. I don't know. I've been thinking about it just because I know that my mom, there's a lot going for this business and stuff. And I think it's really interesting because I hear mom talk about like how mom and Shea, her cousin, talk about how at the end of the day they love what they do and they want to change how it is. So I also want to see how that's going to be and if that would be a good future for me.
Awesome.
She's paving the way. She is. So you can do whatever you want because she's paving that way. She can find you a job anywhere you want, probably. She's got a lot of clients.
That's what I talk about a lot. Sometimes I'll just look at her and like I'll hear her talking about certain people and I'm like, how do you know so many people?
They're her clients. And I know somebody in this industry because I do all of their taxes. Oh, this one's on TV. I did their taxes. Oh, this one. Yeah, I did their taxes.
Right.
Yeah.
But
that's a good sense of pride for your mom, for you and your mom.
Well, you're awesome, Kelsey. I hope you enjoy working this summer.
Thank you.
Yeah, now get back to training.
What does this mean? Feeling good about your taxes.
Feel good about your taxes. So is that a quiz for Kelsey or is that for me?
It's a quiz for her because you trademarked it. So
Feeling good about your taxes. Feeling like they're taken care of and in good hands.
yes, she did it.
She got it.
And you had your hands up too, because good hands. Nobody saw that, but it made sense. Yeah.
I'm glad. Thanks, Kelsey.
Yeah.
Oh man, I hope I didn't blow up your spot. I hope I didn't ruin you or her for life.
It takes
Cool.
that.
Oh wow. Then we can talk about Sherwood in real life, IRL. So cool. I love that interaction. That's for real. Like that's yes. I had the word teenager in here, so I can cross that one out.
So, Kristen, I read a little bit about you and whatnot. I think it'd be really fun just to see how your career has evolved over the years and why you were at where you're at today.
Yeah, start from the beginning, really. Was your father a CPA or your mother?
No, so my parents were both college professors. And
Oh.
yeah, so they both taught ultimately at Arizona State, where I also went to school. So my dad taught industrial engineering and my mom taught business management. And so I feel like when those people get married and have a baby, you get a CPA.
Mm-hmm.
The engineering and the analytical and the process stuff, but then also the business and the management and the strategy stuff. Like that was
I
my
think it makes for a very versatile baby, like a baby that could decide what they want to do and then own that base.
When was the first time that you knew becoming a CPA was an option or something you were interested in? Was it something your parents talked to you about that was an option growing up? No?
I didn't even know. I didn't know. Okay, so here's what's funny. So I was working at Popeye's Chicken was my first job.
Which is fantastic chicken.
No, and the red beans and rice are so good. Yes. So I was working there and got really good at, you have to like count out your drawer and put all your stuff together at the end of the night. I was really good at that. And so I'm like, I wonder what job at first I thought I should be a banker because that has to do with money. Then I took an aptitude test in high school and they said accountant. And I didn't even know what that meant.
Did it come up and you started seeing it more because of that test? Like it's telling you about yourself, then you go look into that a little bit more to see if you like it or not.
It did. It was kind of was a long and windy path to get there because I'm like, that sounds boring. I don't want to do that. But then once I started working more, getting in more in the workforce, I had different jobs and it just kept coming back to numbers was my thing and like adding up. So one of my other jobs that I worked at was at Jenny Craig Weight Loss Centers.
Nice.
And I was the receptionist there and back then, and I would take all the money and we literally had a ledger where you have to put like across and like down, you have to foot it and cross foot it at the end of the day, make sure the bank deposit all ties out. No one could do it but me. I was the only person in that like weight loss center that could get the bank deposit to tie out to what the ledger said. And so I'm like, maybe I should do this accounting thing. And I had actually dropped out of college. So, and I knew I didn't want to have a career in weight loss, let's just say that. So I went back to college and I'm like, that's when I got my accounting degree. And so, which I think it helped me to at least conceptually understand a little bit.
How old were you when you went back? How old when you went back to college?
I was still young. I was still only 20.
You can give a range. Yeah, 20.
Yeah.
Would you still be in college at 20?
Yeah. Yeah. So I only ended up being like a year or two behind.
That's what happened to me too, actually. Like I ended up realizing that numbers matter. And if you're good at them, you better own that shit and you better work with numbers if you're good at it. I feel like it's a very safe hedge of your bets. Whatever you want to do, if you become a CPA, you could pretty much chart your own path after you've learned the ropes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Zachary?
Yeah, I want to keep moving forward. You got a degree in accounting, and then what was your first accounting job? Was it PwC?
I had a little internship my last part of college, and then after graduating, I moved to Oregon, and at the time it was Coopers & Lybrand is the firm that I worked at. So I got on with them in their trust tax department. So all I did was trust and estate and 1040s for the first couple of years, and they had an engagement with First Interstate Bank. And then when First Interstate Bank got bought, that work all went to, funny enough, KPMG, the Phoenix office. They offered me a job at KPMG in Phoenix. I'm like, I just came from Phoenix. I don't want to go back to Phoenix. So that's when I got on with Arthur Anderson at that time after Cooper's.
And where was that at? Was
in Portland, Oregon.
In Portland, Oregon.
Hmm.
Okay.
I really do think there's something in the water in Oregon. There's a lot of people in Oregon. Last guest we had is also Oregonier. How did you say it?
Oregonian.
Oregonian. Yeah, I honestly didn't know there was a word called Oregonian, but now I do. I love it. Oh yeah, we would have a North Carolinian, and you would be a Zachary is from Salt Lake City.
Utah.
Yes. And Utah. Oh wow, I just learned Utah.
So when you were at Arthur, did you start working on other tax returns besides trust and individuals?
Yep. So then I worked in just the general tax department. So that's when I did all business returns, S corps. The Portland market is still like a lot of the other offices would consider like a middle market office compared to some of the Chicago clients. I worked at Anderson for about 3 years. Then I went on and worked at a client. So I actually worked in industry for about 3 years. And it was during that time that I had my son. And the whole, working full-time thing and commuting downtown was just not cutting it for me. So that's when I opened up my own little 1040 practice and QuickBooks practice, at the time bookkeeping practice, just ran it out of my house and did that for 9 years.
Nice. And
9 years.
Over those 9 years, did you grow that?
I wasn't really interested. You can't help it but grow when you're like doing tax returns. But
as you get more clients, they're going to breed more, even if you you can't help it, because once somebody can trust you, then their friends can, and they really want to. Once you get a few people that are like promoters almost in that little space that you can affect people, it's almost like you feel like you're helping them, because this is a skill set that not too many people have. You know?
And a lot of my ex worked for a publicly traded company, and so a lot of my clients were actually other employees there or officers because they would get options, and everybody messed up their returns. They got stock options, and they would always get letters from the IRS, and then I looked like a hero because I added the cost basis in and saved money.
Yes. But it's not even. That's not even a secret though, because that is a skill set that we take for granted that we have. Like talking to each other. But
I got a new client this tax season from exactly that. And we went back and amended like 3 years worth of tax returns, the ones that we could, and added the cost basis. It's so funny.
But it feels good to help people like that, because it's like, all right, now what else can I do for you? Yes, you should be paying somebody, a professional, for your return. I want to get to where you're at now and talk about this cool stuff, like the future too. You're like living in the present, past, and future all at once. This is fun. I feel like you just watched Avengers Endgame. Yeah.
Did that for 9 years. Then I got divorced in 2012, and I was like, oh, I guess I need to get an actual job with a paycheck and health insurance and stuff. And so I went to go work for a local firm not too far from here. And I was there for about 6 years and was actually on track to make partner, but unfortunately had a falling out with the existing shareholder of that over, let's just say, ethical disagreement. I had to leave there, and I had to leave pretty quick. So I was actually going to start my own firm at that time. I was actually going to branch out of because I'm like, you know what, I'm ready. I'm just going to do this again. I don't want to be employed by anybody again. I'm just going to do it. But I got all the way down to the wire. I was about to sign on a lease, and I had a panic attack. I freaked out because I'm just like, okay, but then that means it's all on me, and I'm going to have to hire people, and they're going to want insurance, and they're going to want 401ks, and how am I going to pay it? I'm just spiraling out. I can't do this. So I've got too much going on. I'm a single mom. It was at that time that Martin, who's my now business partner, he was the CEO at a regional firm, and we've been friends for about 20 years at this point. And he's like, you know what, just come work at my firm. We're building out our cloud accounting space, and I had really started to specialize in that, in the CAS practice and cloud accounting. He's like, we're building this out, come help us do that. And I'm like, you know what, that sounds cool, because this is a bigger opportunity. It's a regional firm. I can help move that forward. But turns out it wasn't that great of a fit to be in a big firm like that, because the wheels don't move quickly. And I was just used to calling the shots and doing whatever I wanted. And I just kept getting a lot of no's. Like, we don't do things that way. We don't do it that way. And I'm like, this is not going to work.
So that's a key point right there. When somebody wants to do something differently and they get no, they can either give up and concede, which most people do, or people like you decide, no, fuck that. I'm running the other direction.
The funny thing was, it was me and Martin and I would have all these ideas about how things should be. And I'm like, dude, this is your firm. You're the CEO of the firm. But he's like, yeah, but I've got 35 other partners.
Like, it's very hard to try and manage change from within of something that you have 30 people to answer to. You need one person calling the shots for a lot of these things.
And it should be me. No.
Yeah, that's exactly what and I would love to get into that because that's a big part of what you're doing now too.
Okay,
part
so
of the interruption.
the good thing that happened while I was there was two great things that came out of it. One was that they had a team in India that they had worked with for 15 years. They had a team there that I got exposed to, that I had them start working on my jobs. And I'm like, this is life-changing. Because staffing is always our thing that we're trying to solve for, and getting qualified staff and getting consistent qualified.
We have a lot of things. There's many things, and that's one of the very big ones.
Yeah, but at least having that experience with, by the way, the staff people there had been there for 8, 10, 12 years working on the same jobs. You had consistency in preparers. You had that work ethic that was so important. And I'm like, this would have solved my problem when I was going out on my own if I could have had access to a team like this. So Martin and I cooked up. That's how
you're a master of the flywheel. I feel like, and
Scott digresses a lot. You had me on the edge though. You met, this team was built in India.
And so what we did was, and he was already with, okay, so that entity in India was with our firm and then with 10 other accounting firms that were in the UK and Australia and New Zealand. There was like a big co-op situation. And so they were already cooking up this idea of spinning off an entity that only did bookkeeping. So at the same time they were talking about that, he and I started talking about this idea, what if we built this, at the time we were calling it like a CPA firm in a box, where we gave access to all the great things that come with working from a firm, but allow you to work better for yourself. So that would be access to an offshore team like that. It would be all of the like legal engagement letters and all that just crap that you have to figure out all the time. It would be the marketing and the branding. It would be so you don't have to craft a website. That was the other one. I like made a list of everything that had stressed me out when I was going to start a firm. And like, we're just like, tick them off. How do we solve for that? How do we solve for that? Package it and then offer this to people like me that want to go out on their own, but they don't want to deal with all the headaches. And so that's how Breakaway was born, was us just going through that list and solving for all those things.
And so when somebody partners with Breakaway, they get access to all of these great things, but they don't necessarily work for Breakaway. They still have their own company.
They have their own entity that they set up. But they get access to our community. So that was the other big piece that we found out that people needed. Just all of these CPAs it was lonely out there.
Well, everybody's on tax Twitter, and everybody's feels like they're in a big community, but they probably are lonely. Now, forgive me, I'm talking about this and I'm not even part of it, but I do want to know more because you're like the queen of tax Twitter, right? This is your domain. And both of you guys are on tax Twitter, I'm sure. What goes on in there? Tell me about that world, because that's like you've created an incubator within that world of your own, like, and that's a lot more intimate communication. And these are a group of people that are companions, and this is their tribe. And they're all together in this. And Twitter's more of like a bigger microphone. And I'm trying to compare the two and put the context in. You talk about a group.
That was a piece of it, because tax Twitter exists because we all crave that community. We all crave that, just complaining about your client or trying to solve for this problem or whatever these various things are. Yeah. So we wanted to create that type of a community. And really a lot of it happens either through Slack. And we have different Slack channels, like we have an apps and tech channel, or we have a marketing channel, or we have a pricing channel. So people can talk about all these different topics. But the other thing that we do that I kind of love is that we onboard our advisors in what we call cohorts. So they're onboarded in these smaller groups, so like we figured at the most it should be 8, but even 8 is too many, 4 to 6. And that way they have their own smaller group that they're a part of. And that way they can really share.
2 pizzas. It's like enough people that you can split 2 pizzas with. And if it's if that's not enough pizza, then probably break it up into smaller groups.
Yeah, agreed. Because then you can really get real, you can get vulnerable, everybody can speak and share and all of that. So we have these weekly cohort meetings, so that really bonds the cohorts together, and then we have a wider community that they can all help each other out via Slack, or a lot of times they'll connect outside, and that's, we call it the breakaway magic, when people just kind of start they just start helping each other without us even being involved. We're like, oh my gosh, look at what's happening on Slack right now. It's so cool. We just get off on that.
Oh, I love that. Like when I saw a picture of, and this is on a much smaller scale, but it's like my team to where they're in different states, and they went on one of them went on a trip recently and stopped in New Orleans and saw one of and nobody else knew, but then they sent it to the little iMessage group that we have, and then I was like, wow, like was that taken during our Christmas party in June, or was this like, no, this was last weekend? This is so cool.
It's exactly that feeling. Yeah, but that's an awesome feeling. You're like, look, they're doing it and I don't even have to do anything. Like people are connecting, and yeah, we call that like the breakaway magic when that happens. That
is magic, yeah.
So I'm curious about how Breakaway monetizes. Do they sell actual services?
Well, let's explain first what Breakaway is. Did we get there? So Breakaway is Breakaway bookkeeping and advisors.
Yes.
And give us the pitch of Breakaway.
Yes. So I would say Breakaway bookkeeping and advising. Work for yourself, not by yourself. Breakaway is set up so that we earn money when you earn money. We take a percentage of billings as a management fee, and which is a very small percent. We're technically set up as a franchise, but we don't charge a franchise fee. At least as of this writing, we're not charging a franchise fee to join Breakaway. And then that way we just cover our costs and hopefully someday make a little bit of profit. No, we're actually profitable now. And then each advisor can go out. So if they want to, and they set their own prices, and so they're motivated to just do the best they can. And so they really run it as if it's their own practice. And as much as possible, we want them to feel like they're running their own business while we're still trying to give them as much support as possible.
And that gives them, they get access to that, your special teams, like your other, do you have employees directly with Breakaway, or?
We don't currently have any employees. So there's 4 of us that are founding advisors, and we all just pitch in as far as the Breakaway, we call it the Breakaway HQ work goes. Yeah. So Kelsey mentioned my cousin Shea. So she does really a lot of the marketing and helps with all the like branding and marketing and blogs and social media stuff. She runs a weekly marketing and more, she calls it, session. So advisors can come to that, and she helps them with their own individual marketing. I run a pricing session once a month.
I love that 3 M's below Breakaway Advisor: marketing, management, and mentoring. And I'll just call you guys M3. Like own that, like the magic. M would really mean magic, or more, like the marketing and more. Marketing is a really big deal for a lot of firms, and all the other ones, management too. I think helping with systems is a very big part of why people would really benefit from it tenfold of whatever they're paying. Like whatever you said, it's worth so much more, but people don't realize it unless they're in the hole of you've worked for yourself. And Zachary, I'm sure you've dealt with this. When you don't have systems for things, you might as well just be yelling in the air, yelling on Twitter, because nothing's going to get done unless you really have your finger on every pulse of the business. You need systems.
Yeah, they're getting access to all the Asana templates. And by the way, it's like an evolution. It's never, okay, we're done building.
Feedback loops constant.
Yeah. It's always going to get built more. It's always going to get, but they can at least plug in and yeah, exactly. Just keep it going. And we made it so that it's funny you talk about like bringing the value. And the lawyers hate this about our agreement, but we actually make it so they can walk away with it. They don't feel like that they're getting the value out of it. That's how we're going to stay accountable is, you know what, if you decide one day this is not for me, I can do it better on my own, then God bless and go, and we're not going to try to, get you to keep
right, but you're not coming back either. Make sure that you close that door. No, I'm serious, because some people may not make up their mind and they may be like, oh, I'm leaving. And then 2 months later, they decide, because I've had this with employees. And maybe I shouldn't explain all of that, but I've had people leave and come back. And when they come back, actually, let me take that back, because when they do come back, they're wonderful. I've done it before. So Sorry.
No, it's true though, because I find it's funny because I thought I would get a lot of people who had their own practices, but it turns out, at least so far, the advisors that we've gotten are, most of them are new to having their own business.
Oh, cool.
So they don't know what they don't know. They don't know like how hard it is to go and do it on their own.
Oh, and they actually, I think you welcome that, because if they do try and do that and then they realize, you know what, I miss that community. I miss to be part of that tribe and that my group, my people. Yeah. And they may go back and own that and actually be better for it. That's part of the way I was looking at it. And you can almost look at it like that.
I hope no one ever leaves, but.
No, but that's why you should really question what the lawyers are doing and their motives. And I think their motives are to keep you protected and to keep the money in the door. But at the same time, if you give people that freedom, then they're going to really own it and you're better for it. So owning it, instead of not listening, I'm not saying not listen to lawyers, because they will help in so many ways, but there's certain things where your gut is saying, I don't want to do what they're saying. You might as well just not and see what happens.
Right. And what am I going to do with these clients? I mean, let's say that they really love Betty, their breakaway advisor, and she leaves, and I'm like, oh, now you're my client. They're like, I don't know you.
Exactly.
Betty.
And you've dealt with that on a personal level. You're like, you've worked at other firms and you've thought about leaving. And then you're like, wait a second, I like these clients. I'm in a tough position. But this way you make it effortless for them to then really own the relationship with you as a breakaway advisor. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm sure within Breakaway, each of these owners run their business a little bit differently. But let's talk about how you run your business, and you're part of Breakaway, of course, with Sherwood Tax and Accounting.
Were you the first Breakaway beta? Yeah?
Yes, I was. And I only had about 5 or 6 clients because, again, like I came up from a...
Well, tell us about Sherwood. How big is Sherwood? Tell us the evolution of Sherwood on its own. I feel like that deserves a lot of credit there, because that puts you where you're at with Breakaway. So let's take the Breakaway hat and put it on the side for a second.
Okay, so we'll put a pin in Breakaway. So we've been working in Breakaway only about 6 months, but just prior to that, I had connected with the previous owner of Sherwood Tax, and she was looking to sell her firm, but I was like, I already know I was starting Breakaway. I'm like, no, and I live in Sherwood, Oregon. It's only a town. It's a small town. It's only about 16,000 people. It's a really tight community. And I was tempted, but I'm like, no, I'm already doing this other thing. So she found another potential buyer. And so tax season 2020.
So 16,000 is still a lot, because when I go back to Mexico, it's only 1,600 people in the village that my wife grew up in. Anything is big compared to that. Right. And not in a bad way, but anything in the US is big. So yes, Sherwood is a beautiful town. I actually looked it up. It looks very cozy and comfy.
Her potential buyer didn't work out, fell through, and it was funny because we were Martin and I were meeting with her, and Martin's like, well, Kristen, you should just buy the firm. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? After I literally had written like a blog about why I don't do taxes anymore. I was so happy to not be on the 2020 tax season, because it was the worst tax season on record at that time. And I'm like, what? And he's what? What's the big deal? You were going to run your own firm before anyway. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, because I've always known about Sherwood Tax. It's always been that thing of, I wonder what that would be like. So I felt, okay, fine, I'll try it out.
Did you guys do new branding? Because I saw Brazen and Jillian Tracy. Yes. I looked at those because I liked the style. I really liked. Is that new? Did you do the new branding? Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that's
yeah. I like the fox. That is your trademark, because the little fox. Tell us about the fox. Is that something old that you made new?
No, so I love Jillian. I'm glad you gave her the shout out, because she's amazing. She did two of our logos, and so yeah, she came and she had like an hour-long intake, at least an hour long. I know even Shea did a lot of like paperwork and answering questions for me, just to help the process along. But she came back with like a color palette, and basically, I'm not a marketing person, but I have words for things that basically give you like the feel for like where she was going. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it. And
so the colors, I was in a marketing meeting and they gave me the color palette and they said what each color emotively means. And so I started looking at, do you see behind me? That's what I did. My DVDs, my books, and CDs, and I started noticing that those colors really do, like Weezer album with each color, and the emotions in that album match with the colors too. Yeah, I know. Well, you were talking about something with marketing and colors, and sorry to interrupt, but
That's okay. No, but so it was so great. But I just honed in on one of her little things. She had a little fox, and I'm like, I love that. And I love because we're Sherwood, right? So Sherwood Forest and kind of that old English houndstoothy, that kind of a feel. And
yeah.
yeah, so that's what she came up with, and she came up with this like font and the little fox, and yeah, we've just taken the
But it's so
little fox.
subtle, most people may not notice it, but for the ones that do, probably say something about it. Like, I like the fox, or what's up with the fox? Like, have you gotten that at all? Or does anybody know?
Not as many people as I thought, because I love it so much,
Yeah.
and I don't know, for some reason it just resonated with me. And she even had a whole reason why the fox is like looking backward.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. It's always looking that direction. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's always, okay, are you with me? And I love that. She's okay, just checking on, okay, we're going together, right?
Does your team know that? Does your team know and understand that? I feel like that matters more than if your clients did.
That is a good.
Then you should tell them if they don't.
Right. We'll talk about the logo.
I'm
I
sorry.
do every Monday morning. I'm trying to do like an inspirational thing on our meeting, so maybe
Perfect.
we'll talk about the little fox.
Do you know what I do? I do these daily tips, and Zach has been getting some of them, but I just create quotes and send them in our Slack, and that's what they get from me every day, is just little like motivational things. Not be yourself. No, not that. I don't even want to read any because I'm embarrassed right now.
So how many employees do you have at Sherwood?
So right now we have 6 in the US, and we have 2 going on 3 in Guadalajara, Mexico.
Ooh, almost a handful. That's 9. Yeah,
And
that's-
how many clients do you serve?
So we have we push about 1,300 tax returns through here. That's business and personal. There's about 800 1040s that go through here.
Wow.
It's a lot.
That's a busy tax season. 800 1040s. And do you hire up during tax season, or do you guys just burrow in?
So traditionally, there's only been one seasonal person that comes in, just an extra admin. And what has happened in the past is that the people will work part-time in the off season and then flex up and work more during tax season. But I'm moving away from that model just due to some employee attrition, and I really want to move toward my like leverage. I basically want to do what I'm doing in Breakaway as far as a leveraged model. So I want everyone that's in the US working for Sherwood Tax to be in a client manager role. That means you're interacting with clients. That means you're working on billing. That means it doesn't go through me. You're managing that relationship. You're answering their questions. Of course, we're all here to support each other, and you're not doing it by yourself, but I need people there that can, in the US, to manage those relationships.
Little pods, or just one? So are you talking in a business relationship with accounting, or with tax, individual tax? Like, what types of clients are they going to manage?
So they would manage kind of the whole relationships. They would manage, because we do bookkeeping and tax returns, business and individual.
Yeah.
So typically, and these are like your salt of the earth, like small town Oregon clients. These are your plumbers and your drywallers and your hairdressers.
Yeah.
There's no difference really between their business and their personal. It's all
Okay, so that's your persona. Like that makes sense.
they have a client manager that's their relationship person. There's a team. There's always a team, because there's going to be a bookkeeper, there's going to be a tax preparer, but there's going to be a manager to manage the relationship and all the processes.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, obviously they're employees now, but do you view them eventually as partners or as a model Breakaway, or how's compensation going to change? Is it going to change?
Yeah, so my dream is that not to be partners. My dream is that my current employees would grow up and eventually have a Sherwood Tax of their own. So basically like a franchise.
And do you get a percentage of their revenue? Is it like a pyramid scheme where they start theirs and then they find people and they 10x that and then they 10x this and then it's just a lot of 10xing?
Yeah. No, I haven't set it up that way yet. That's a good thing to think
Because
about.
they can get a percentage of people that they get, and everybody's happy. It's not really a pyramid scheme. Like, it's almost like everybody's winning in that. Like, they're mentoring the next generation and the next generation, the sons of CPAs and the daughters of CPAs and the next sons and the next daughters.
And actually, that's effectively what's happening. That's exactly effectively what's happening. So we just hired our first tax resident, we're calling him.
Yeah.
He actually doesn't have an accounting degree, but he has a financial background. He's basically like a glorified intern, but at a higher level. And that's what we're grooming him for. We're grooming him
Whoa.
like, hey,
Yeah.
someday you're going to own a Sherwood Tax.
Do you think he's very client facing? Do you see a lot of like extrovertedness or like humor and honesty and
Yeah.
all that like in them? Because usually you need somebody that's going to be like very transparent if they're going to do something like that, because they need to manage people too, right?
Yes.
And that's a difficult skill to
Right. And
balance.
so sadly, I'm feeling like I'm going to need to move away from the traditional kind of accountant track. I'm having just a really hard time hiring accountants that fit that persona, that want to do that kind of work, that don't just want to be in the back room and do the detailed work, that have enough of an extrovertedness that they want to do that side of the business more.
So I've noticed there's two types of clients too. There's the client that's really edgy and that really wants to touch everything, and the one that sits back. And it's almost, can you take those people and put them with the clients that sit back, and the ones that are really edgy and want to touch, put them in a more client facing role? Because you're going to get both when you're hiring too, but you only get a few of the really touchy ones and the good ones. And those are the ones that pay a lot more. And those are the ones that you're going to have to pay more if they're an employee. Like, it's almost pair them together and let them run and frolic together while the other quiet ones work in their quiet rooms. I've been working on that one, but I don't know if that's a real thing yet.
Yeah, I really think there really is two different types of CPAs, and one really loves and owns the client relationship, and one loves to just be doing the work.
You almost have to encourage both, because you're going to get the best out of them.
You absolutely do. I almost feel like you really need more. For every one person who wants to manage the relationship, you need 3 workers or that sort of thing.
What are the roles? Almost like cadencia, like I need this role and this role for this worker, and this is how I need it done, almost,
So
right?
it's
or
an admin support,
I know we didn't get
it's
into
a
that yet. Yeah.
bookkeeper, and it's a tax preparer.
Word. Explain more. What does cadencia do? Now we can dive into that channel.
Okay, so Cadencia is our Mexico staffing company, which we started, and I talked before about having a team in India, which we love. There was just a couple pitfalls in working with India that we were trying to solve for, and one of them was the time difference is a biatch. The time difference for 12 hours, so especially with tax work, we need a quick turnaround. We need questions answered. We need things more in real time. And so having that time lag was a problem for us. And just language and culturally, again, nothing but love for the India team. Sometimes things are hard when they don't understand our culture and our, like, what Starbucks is and what.
I'm with you.
And, you know, that
1,000%. Yeah. Yeah. But when you go more toward the Philippines area, you get a person that's very easy to work with and that relatable, and they can talk. And then all of a sudden, maybe you go south of the border and lead into Cadencia, Guadalajara.
Yeah. Yeah, so we started that, and we started out with it, and it's funny, so I knew another CPA actually here in Oregon, but he was from Mexico originally, and he was like, started hearing about offshoring, and he was like, why am I going to go offshore? Why wouldn't I start this in Mexico? And so that's what I like. That's a good idea. So I actually went with him and visited his team, and they were awesome. They were amazing. And I was like, oh, I could build on this. So that's what kind of started the wheels turning.
Well, whenever you see that minimum viable product, you see something working and once, and then if it's working, then really encourage you to say, I can build a business around this. Yes, I know how the systems work. And that's what you're doing. And it's so exciting to see 3 in action, all in a very short period of COVID time. This is a big world for you. Like, it's so exciting. You got your kids about to be out of the house, and the world is open. Yeah.
Yes, it's very exciting. It's very exciting. But yeah, with Cadencia, that's what I want to solve for. The detail level accountants will be in Guadalajara, Mexico. And it's a great city it's got a lot of universities. Really, I can't believe the skilled accountants that we're finding there. And a lot of them, they haven't done QuickBooks, they haven't done US tax. Some of them have, a few have, but it's almost like accounting is a universal language. Like, everybody understands debits and credits, and they may have used some other software, but they understand conceptually what we're trying to do. So they can learn Xero, they can learn QuickBooks, they can learn LySki. You know,
so I have about 23 nieces and nephews. Can I teach them? They're all in Mexico City. I start my own little bookkeeping practice.
She's in Mexico City. My latest.
No way. Can we cross
remote
streams?
Anyway?
Can we orbit in that same area at some point? Because I go there at least twice a year, And then that would be
Having an
so
open
cool to
house.
see how it works.
We're having
Yes.
an open house October, pencil in October 22nd through 29th. Doing that on a regular basis for firms because
Ooh.
now, because Sherwood Tax is really like the testing, we're like testing everything out.
Incubator, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like
Absolutely.
that's the constant feedback loop of, is this going to work? Is this not? What doesn't work? And then you get one more and one more. And what doesn't work? What doesn't work? You just focus on what doesn't work, fix it. And then all of a sudden it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Ready
find
for the world.
just find a really great resort in Mexico and tell people we're going to do a little cadencia open house. And
Oh yeah, a Cadencia Con, like a CC. Yeah, we'll CC everybody on it. I'll do it. I'll make that the title here, cadet, like with the hashtags Cadencia Con, and you can CC everybody. But that'll be so fun.
So that's awesome. I had some questions about running Sherwood and what
Zachary has the best ideas. He's the title of our name. Like he created our podcast name.
That's a good one.
the title of the pod.
Yeah, the title of the pod.
But I'm just curious. I'm always curious to see what firm owners are using in their firms to make things go around. You mentioned Asana, which is actually what we use here to manage our workflows. But what do you use in your firm to make sure everything's getting done and systems are followed and checklists are followed? And
so we at Sherwood Tax, we use Asana at Breakaway. At Sherwood Tax, we implemented Intuit Practice Management, which is basically Carbon. And we're using that for workflows. Yeah. So we implemented that in October, and I feel like, again, that's still a work in progress, that we are fine tuning a lot of our templates and things like that. But I view that as critical to our mission of what we're trying to do, is really get those systems and processes dialed in. And so we really have a strong focus on those templates and getting them for each client, so that anyone can jump in there, especially using a cadencia team. Anyone can jump in there and go through the template.
Wow. So are you looking at it in both the Intuit Practice Manager / Carbon, and which templates are working in both Asana, and are you testing both of those? Because it seems like that would be very useful if you had a firm maybe that was already on Intuit and they didn't want to go to Asana.
It should be. I haven't had time because I feel like it's been so immersive just doing the Sherwood Tax procedures. But I know we also, like on the Breakaway side, we have a ton of good, it would be good because we have a ton of good bookkeeping templates that are there.
But it's just that systems are systems, right? And as long as you can see them working in both, then it doesn't matter what you want to be on. You can be on Asana, or you can be on this. You can be on a Mac, you can be on a PC. You can do this or this, whatever you want. Do this, but you're going to communicate with us through this way, and you're going to do. It's almost like that you're a good incubator for everything, because you could do things like, I'm looking at you guys, like he's got an iPhone and you have what's the other one? Android. Oh yeah, the green bubbles. I hate to pick on people that don't have iPhones, but come on, you bring it on to yourself.
So you use Carbon for workflow. Do you have Office 365, or are you a Google Sheets?
We are Google. But we also, I feel like in a CPA firm, you can't get away from Excel.
This came up today, actually. I asked the question in our Slack group, is it about time that we can just open CSVs in Google now, or can we not?
I would like that, honestly, because I like to be able to share things in real time. That's what I like about Google. Yeah. So all of our mail, our email is set up through G Suite. We have the folders, we have all that kind of stuff. But yes, we still have Microsoft licenses.
So I did let it expire, and I'm not going to renew it, because why would we have both G Suite and 365? And the only reason we had 365 is so they can access Excel on their computer. And then do I really want to enable this? It's not that expensive. I'm not trying to be cheap, but I'm just not renewing it, because we got to be 100% on one.
Okay, now let me ask you this. What are you using for Document Manager then?
What's the ShareFile?
Yeah, so like we have a system called, what is it, Smart Vault.
Smart Vault.
Share things with our clients, and also we use it as our own. Huh?
I was just making sure. If Zachary, which one do you use?
Oh, I use Box.com.
Box. So all of us are using something different, right? There's no common ground there, but they all about the same.
There's nuances on each of those. I switched over to Box three years ago, maybe, and I did a lot of research to determine that. But there's pros and cons to every single
I guess what were you getting at for what is it?
Just that's for Smart Vault, because that's what it's almost, is that the only reason I'm in Excel? Because first of all, I don't love it, but it's now, what people our clients are used to and stuff, but
Well, they can get used to anything because everything changes on everybody all the time, especially these days. I don't know. We digress.
Yeah, I feel like I do have to give a little bit of a pitch to Microsoft on the Office 365 because I love it. And I use the web-based version now of Excel most of the time.
We all grew up on Excel, so it is effortless to use. If I was working in there, I would much rather use Excel
let's
than
be honest, as much
Sheets.
as I love Sheets, it doesn't have all the functionalities.
Or the memory, like our muscle memories are for Excel. Like I grew up working in Excel in accounting and in anything. Like that's just, again, we're creatures of habit, and we like our QuickBooks and we like our Excel. Like as much as we want to talk bad about sometimes, we have to use it. Microsoft. Like, I love Microsoft, but
I don't love my QuickBooks, so that's fine. But
you had to say that.
But I do.
You had a QuickBooks drink that you were drinking. That's why I said it, because it had a blue logo. Is that blue or not?
This?
Yeah.
No, that's FreshBooks.
FreshBooks.
Ooh, fancy. Yeah,
and you are on an advisor council for FreshBooks?
I am. I'm on their partner council.
Oh, can you put a vote in for me? I want to join. I love partner councils. Yeah, I want to. Yeah, I would love it.
I put in a good word with Twyla.
Because Michael Lee came onto the Zero one and he has got no Zero clients. I would love to be on the FreshBooks one. If you're on it already, that would be fun.
So FreshBooks I think it's a great product. I think there's some really neat things.
Let's give our pitch so me and Zachary can join the FreshBooks committee, because Zachary was on the Zero one with me. That's how I know Zach. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be a grown-up accounting program now.
And I think Twyla will be good in that.
She's amazing.
And yeah, hopefully. I think competition in this space is critical over the next 5 years or so. And I hope that FreshBooks and Zero continue to grow in the US, because we need some pressure on Intuit and QuickBooks to help that product along too, because it's getting so big.
They need to win some accountants back, and that's going to be a tough road to haul.
Yeah, but they will be able to. They flex their muscles by raising their prices, and they'll see who drops off.
You can only be burned so many times.
Yeah.
It's like the Cry Wolf story, right?
We are Zero Gold partners at Breakaway.
Ooh, I saw that. Yeah, that is, Zachary has his Zero behind him. I have mine behind us too. Yes.
Ooh.
We wear that with pride.
Did you get one of those?
You know what? This is back in the day when they actually gave. I'm not sure if they still do that. And I got keychains with gold keychains.
Platinum.
They will give you one. All you have to do is ask your rep, and they will send you a nice big box and pins and cool keychains. Like they're all over the place. Yeah, you'll have fun. They'll send it to you. They have these boxes that are collecting dust that they used to give out, and maybe they just let it go now, but they will give you one. You'll enjoy it. Maybe we'll get you on the partner committee, because you haven't been on the Zero one. We'll trade and we'll have fun. Yeah. I'm still on the Zero one. Yeah. Cool. All right. So sorry, all the pleasantries here. Let's get back to business.
Smart Vault, G Suite, Carbon, Google. Do you use Lacert?
Yes.
Oh, tax. So you're using Lacert. Is that cloud now or no?
It's Right Networks.
Right Networks is pretty much what it's like Citrix, like UltraTax is on Citrix. Okay.
Hosted Lacert.
And Zachary is first of the pioneers of the Intuit's project, right?
That's right. I'm on Intuit. What do they call it? ProConnect Online.
Yeah, I have used that. Yes.
So
I'm sure it's decent.
Very much Lacert, because we were on Lacert before, and so it has the same interface and everything, but it's just a little bit different, optimized for web usage, and it has its pros and cons, just like anything. But we love not having servers and not having to deal with those sort of issues, and just having it 100% web-based. So it's been fun. It's something I'll give Intuit props on that. It is by far the best truly cloud-based tax program available to tax professionals.
The first.
Is there any others?
Is it the first? Yeah.
There's other ones. They're just not good.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So one thing that Ackerman always asks everybody at the end, and I've totally lost my concentration. Where do you see the industry in 5 years, the profession? So in 5 years, this is going to be very interesting. Kristen's prediction.
It's very interesting. Well, and I think what's interesting is that had you asked me that 5 years ago, I would have thought the industry as a whole would be a lot further along.
Sure. That's why it's exciting to hear what you're going to think in 5 years. Like 5 years from now, we know where we're at. And I think that hindsight, we are further than our industry should be because of COVID. Like we got pushed. A lot of us got pushed.
Yes. Agreed. I think that did help accelerate things. Yes, I see. Despite what was it the Gusto newsletter that came out this week that said accounting firms are like clawing back the remote work. I still think remote work is, you have to accept it as a part. As far as like technology, I'm not good at predicting technology things, but I'm excited about where AI and OCR and that type of technology is going.
What's your vision for you?
How about yourself within the industry?
Oh, I'm hoping I'm not even in the industry in 5 years. I'm hoping that I am giving my TED Talks, that I am here for strategy and inspiration, and I can be.
But that's when you're going to still see the industry. You're going to be a change leader, right? Not a change agent. You're going to be the leader, and you're going to be the mentor for this 3Ms, right? You're going to be the management mentor for everybody. And now, what is everybody doing that you're mentoring them through in 5 years? This, like what you're doing, I think that's very realistic to think. What does your breakaway crew look like in 5 years?
Yeah, my breakaway crew is going to look very relaxed. My breakaway crew is going to have a great lifestyle because they've embraced the leverage model, they've embraced the technology to a degree, and they can manage their workload and their workflow so that they don't have this crazy accountant lifestyle anymore.
How big?
Kill that.
How big is the breakaway crew in 5 years?
So I believe our goal was to get to 100 advisors in 3 years. So
okay.
Yeah.
So 205 or 505, because that's where it breaks away. That's where the model becomes scalable after you do 100. Why not do another 500 after
Why
that?
not?
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, wow. That's exciting. Oh, this is cool. Thank you for joining us. I hope that this wasn't a big bother. I hope I didn't embarrass you in front of your daughter.
No, yeah, it's not really possible. So, no.
Zachary, did you want to ask anything else?
No, just I'll mention I was embarrassed.
You have 3 daughters and I have 2 daughters.
I was embarrassed by what you said, Scott. Not I personally was embarrassed.
Oh. Okay, sorry.
No, this was fun. Thank you. This was a fun part of my day. I was having like a crummy day, actually.
Oh, good. Thank you. I like to hear that.
We look forward to seeing what the future holds for you, Kristen, and your businesses, and we will keep an eye on you and follow you and see where it's going to lead.
Zachary is our Northwestern correspondent. Zachary, he's going to own the Northwestern Hemisphere. He's the Sun representative of the Northwestern.
Can I leave our websites on so people know where to find us?
Yes. Tell us where to find you first.
Yeah, so on LinkedIn, I'm just Kristen Keats. On Twitter, I'm Kristen Keats CPA. Some people find me on Instagram, but it's not a professional account, so I'm not really on Instagram.
Yeah.
You can go to our website at breakawayba.com, or our Cadencia website is cadencia.io.
I've got these ready into show links too. God damn it, I'm tripping over my fucking words. I'll be on my game for you.
Yeah. Scott will include them in the pod notes.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. I'm going to stop this.